It's interesting because as you evaluate people, you have to evaluate kind of the whole picture, but the only thing that matters is like the bite, the grit, and the passion.
Yep, absolutely.
But that's also the hardest to measure, and it's a gut thing.
Welcome back to OK Sister Podcast. My name's Mads.
My name is Scout, and as always, we are so happy that you pressed play today.
And as always, we are sisters, IRL.
Oh, okay. Yep, that too.
You know what is an exciting development in my life?
God, that was so annoying what I just did. That town. I'm like just imagining me watching the replay of that and being like, God fucking damn it, Scout. Zip it up. Okay, what?
You know what? You need to embarrass yourself on the internet and just like keep going.
Keep going.
You can't look back.
Can't look back. Can't look back. Keep going.
So a big development in my life recently is I have been wedding venue hunting.
Yeah. I think it's the most exciting part of the whole thing because you're imagining all these possibilities.
Sure, there's a lot of possibilities. It's also a bit anxiety inducing because I'm like, what if I pick the wrong one? What if I have regrets? What if I'm not looking at every option? And I know that when I see the one, like it will feel like the one, but I typically have good decision-making skills. So I don't know why the venue is, we still have to see a lot more, but like the ring, I knew exactly what I wanted. The dress, I know exactly what I wanted. Like I don't have any other options for those two things. So I'm like, why is the wedding venue not like, that's the one and that's it?
I want you to keep a little bit of an open mind around the dress because
Why?
It really depends on when you see it on you.
Are you telling me that I need to lose weight?
No, I don't even know. I'm just saying that I had the dress as well. And I tried it on and I was too short for it. Like it just like.
No, I'm like, that's my worst nightmare is we're going to go to LoHo and I try it on and and it doesn't look good.
And it might not look good.
And
or it could look good.
The skims aren't sucking me in enough.
Or not even that. It could look really good, but you're
then
like.
you take a photo of it.
You're like, this isn't it. Like it just happens.
I have visualizations of me trying it on and crying and being like, this is the one.
I had the same thing and I tried on a cocktail dress. My wedding dress. I'm obsessed with wedding dresses, by the way. Like I watched Say Yes. Whoa. I watched all of Say Yes to the Dress. I was dreaming of actually having a budget to buy a stunning dress. Mm-hmm. And I tried on a $500 cocktail dress.
I know.
And just bawled hysterically.
Yeah.
Bawled hysterically. So like just keep an open mind because you never know.
Anyways, I have a feeling I'm going to love it.
I hope so. I don't know.
We'll see. Oh, the day we go to LoHo. Woo, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be good. We have to pick the venue first and then
So this is the thing about the venue. Do you think now that you know the dress and maybe the sisterhood won't really understand what we're talking about, but it'll all make sense soon. Since you know what the dress looks like, I feel like it's pretty versatile. Or do you think it only looks good in like a desert?
No, I think that the dress that you want is going to match all of your aesthetics.
I think so too.
I bought my dress thinking
For the
we were
Parker.
I was supposed to get married at a different venue. They ghosted us.
Oh, in Palm Springs?
Yeah.
Which one?
Le Horizon.
Le Horizon. Well, I'm really glad you went to Parker because it's more iconic.
Yeah, yeah.
What if I got married at the Parker?
I would love that.
What?
I would love it.
Wouldn't that be weird?
I don't know why you're not going to look at it.
Wait, what?
I like genuinely don't know why you're not going to look at it.
Wait, why would you want me to do that?
Because it's not my hotel, and I think it'd be really fun to be back there.
It's way too colorful for me.
I mean, that's what I said, but look, like, you have to, I mean, okay, so the colorful parts of my wedding aren't on the camera. Like, there's, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
The actual wedding had no color to it.
Lawn,
but the Parker provided the most magical ambiance and stay for our friends and family.
Yeah.
It like added to the experience, but if you look at all my photos, there's no color.
There's no color.
The wedding had no color.
The wedding had no color.
Okay.
Yeah, my wedding is going to be colorless. It's going to be just Jenny Kane.
I'm going to wear...
I want it to feel like we are in a Nancy Meyers movie.
I'm going to wear a black ball gown.
That might not work.
You sure?
With the... It just might not work with the vibes of... Like, I don't think I'm going, like, ball gown.
But I could go ball gown.
Yeah, but the rest of the people are not going to have ball gowns. Also, did you know that you have to dance down the aisle? I don't think I've told you this.
No. 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 Is this a Persian thing?
Yeah, you have to dance down the aisle. And you
No.
get, yeah, you do. And you're going to get, you can put, you can pick any song you want.
What?
Of course, I need to approve it, but you can pick Pitbull. You can pick any song you want.
So there's going to be 30 different songs that are playing.
There's only 4 people walking down the aisle. So each one is dancing.
No, there's going to be 6.
There's going to be
Mom, Dad, Ben's parents.
mom, dad are with me.
Okay.
Ben, okay, so it's Ben walking down, Ben's brother, you, Ben's parents, and us. That's it.
I have to go alone.
And you have to
Sam
go
and I
alone.
can't do it together.
Oh, and then Lily as the flower girl.
Oh my
so
God.
she goes and dances alone too.
Oh my God.
And so you could go with Sam if you want. And you and Sam can dance to Pitbull as you go down.
Can I do turn down for what?
Yeah, you could do whatever.
Can I pop, lock, and drop it on
Yeah.
the way down?
Yeah, but you have to dance.
I just got so nervous and now I want to get off the mic because I'm really scared for this
I
moment.
forgot about that. I had to tell you that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a fucking ball gown if I have to do that.
Okay, you can wear a ball gown, but then you need to dance. You don't need to like pop, lock, and drop it. You can just be like,
Oh God. So awkward and cringy. It's so bad. It's so bad. Okay.
I mean, Ben was like, just show her the video of The Office where they
Yeah,
did it.
exactly.
I was
That's
like,
exactly
no.
what
I was
I'm
like,
thinking
no,
of.
It's not like that. Persian weddings, when they they go down the aisle, it's so fun. It's like a whole party. Everyone is dancing like in the stands. Like it's a whole thing.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to dance.
Okay. I have to come up with a good song.
Yeah.
What if I choose like a really emo song?
No, I get veto power. So I need to approve it.
Okay.
There no EDM.
Okay.
You can do rap,
Okay.
but like tasteful rap.
Tasteful rap. Okay. Tasteful rap. So not. Okay.
Maybe not Turn Down for What, but like a Pitbull could be fine.
Okay.
Mr. Worldwide.
What about My House by Flo Rida?
Sing it a little bit.
You don't know that song?
Just remind me.
Welcome to my
Yes,
house.
great.
Baby,
Because everyone
take
will be
it
like,
na, 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 na,
but wait,
na.
your house? It's not your wedding, bitch.
Okay. Now I need a different one. What
Okay,
about
well-
what about Jonas Brothers? Should I do Roller Coaster?
You could. You really need to think of what would translate to a dancing down the aisle moment, keeping up the energy. Also, what will you not regret in 10 years?
What will you not regret? Let's put it that way. This is not my wedding. Okay, a lot to digest. A lot to
digest.
think about. My role has shifted in the wedding.
This is yeah.
What
this
is Sam doing?
We haven't, I don't know, he has to pick out a song, but I veto power.
I'm gonna have to text Sam.
Yeah, you guys gotta strategize. Give me a list of options and I'll get back to you on my selection.
What if it's Confessions by Usher?
Honestly, that could be funny. I think Yeah could be funny by Usher.
Yeah, it could be funny. Okay, we're recording. We're like,
Oh,
I think we've
sorry.
been talking
Okay,
about this for a long ass time. Anyways,
We just like totally forgot that
we totally forgot that we were
on a
recording and we're
podcast.
like actually trying to figure out exactly
All right,
what we're doing.
anyways.
Okay, so before we get into this episode, we want to read a little review that we got in DM. So we'll keep the person
Yay.
anonymous and then she'll probably DM me and say, why did you keep me anonymous? But we're going to do that because I did not get consent to share this. You guys are just giving us such sweet DMs lately and it's literally making my whole entire life. So we wanted to read one that we got the other day. She said, one of the sisters, literally obsessed with my Monday mornings. Today's episode felt like I was at a sleepover with my best friends, drinking wine and gossiping about boys and shows. You gals are just cute and fun.
Literally, like, that is the definition of okay sister.
If you had to like bottle up,
Okay sister.
but then like add in like a little bit of like mindset work, and that
Yes.
is the ethos of Okay Sister Podcast.
I love it.
So thank you. We love you. If you DM us a little message, we might read it on the podcast. live.
And we welcome voice notes as always.
Oh yeah, I was sending one of the sisters a voice note.
You know
the other day.
what? I would love that. If you guys could send us some voice notes and then before or after just be like, yes, I consent to this being like shown on the podcast. And then
Okay.
if they're really good, we'll play it on the podcast.
Okay, we'll have to figure out how that
I like
audio
that.
experience works. We'll figure it out.
Just put the phone.
We'll figure it out.
Anyways, all right. Let's get into this episode. Holy shit. Okay, so we had one of my good friends, Julia, who is the founder of Home from College, on. And I feel like we have never had an episode about this topic, which is career, best practices for interviewing, changing career paths, just how to get your first job, internships, like just so much value around the back end of career building and getting jobs and all these things. Also, we kind of talk, since both you and I are in the position of employer, what we look for when we interview people to bring on the team, like it and just Gen Z trends when it comes to career. It blew my mind, and she is creating one of the most unbelievable platforms.
Yeah. We give a couple hot takes on what we don't like in the interviewing process, which I got a little heated. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, it's going to be great for TikTok. I'm excited
Oh
for
my God.
us to go viral because it's controversial.
Yeah, love that for me. But yeah, and honestly, I think at the end, I just looked at Julia and I was like, you're like really cool. I think I said that like straight.
Well, we always say that we're in the pursuit of finding the third sister, and Julia is a top contender for sure.
Yes. She is giving third sister energy. So you sisters are going to absolutely love her. So with that, let's welcome Julia from home from college to the pod.
Miss Julia, welcome to OK Sister.
I'm so happy to be here. Can I be the third sister?
You're giving
gosh.
third sister
We
energy.
kind of look alike.
Yeah. What's your background? Who are you?
I'm like just a Jew.
Okay,
just
so
a Jew living in a Jew world.
fit right. You fit
same.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're the queen of slick back buns. I don't think I've ever seen you without one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay, like just in our defense, she has really great hair. Like look, your hair looks.
Thank you.
The roots are nice and easy.
The thing is, I chopped my hair short. Like
wish I
maybe
could
in
do
COVID,
that.
it was short, and then it grew out. And we're in a transition period right now because I'm getting married in August. So I usually have it short, but I want to wear my hair back for my wedding. So it's in that in between
Weird.
stage
Oh,
where
yeah,
it's
that's
not
hard.
like it's Lord Farquaad.
Oh my God, great reference, excellent reference.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean.
So you just can't like really go out there in the world like that, honestly.
Yeah, so you're pulling it back, but you always pulled it back.
Yeah, I like just do it because it's easier and I don't have to do it. But
Totally.
I made a 2024 mission after the wedding to do my hair more down because I should make an effort.
No, but I love it. It's like your signature.
you.
Everyone should have a signature.
A
You know
thing.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm a
You're-
matching
you're
set.
Jenny Kane.
I'm Jenny Kane
Yeah.
and I'm matching set.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
is just
Totally.
you can
Yes.
when you see me, you see this.
Yes.
What's my
right?
signature?
I guess see-through bras? What's going on?
Just want one compliment. I'm trying to get one compliment.
No, you're
I've taken a beating the last 2 days. here on this
You look
podcast.
fantastic. It's giving when we went on your bachelorette party.
No, but I'm not asking how I look now.
sorry, I'm
asking
sorry.
what
What's
my
your
signature thing.
Your signature thing is like high fashion, little stiletto heels.
Ooh. Okay.
Black.
I think it's just black. I think
Okay,
we
just
say
black. Black
Even
clothing.
though that's not what's happening right now. Ooh,
Yeah.
the bra is really out.
Yeah,
But that's very interesting because I'm from New York and all I wore was black. And
Yeah.
then I came here and I felt a little shamed for wearing black all the time.
I consistently look like a New Yorker,
Yeah.
but I won't leave San
think
Diego.
people
Yeah.
think we're from New York.
Yeah, well,
And it's
her because she's loud, and then
Yeah.
me because I wear black.
And you also both talk fast. So that's
And we're
giving you
Well, I
Jewish
think
and-
I think that the Jewish culture and New Yorker.
New Yorkian.
New York.
What did you
New
just
York.
say?
It's been a long day. New Yorkers have
Sure.
a similar culture.
Yeah.
Like, there's just like a little bit
There's
of
a-
an underlying
There's an urgency.
similarity.
There's a fast pacedness. Yeah.
There's a drama to it, right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a drama to everything.
And there's a
Everything.
volume of the voice that just does not go lower. Like
Totally.
sometimes like here I'm like,
yeah.
like, am I deaf or are we all on a different frequency?
I know. I was gonna make my caption when I got engaged, being like, I'll pay for the ear surgery or like the hearing surgery
my
later
God.
on, babe. Don't worry.
So good.
Like he's gonna be deaf.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, he's a very quiet man.
yeah.
That's a good compliment. That's what you need.
No, we need to balance out
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we are so excited to have you on because we have never talked about this topic.
So
and
funny.
so I think it's so relevant, especially now. Just I feel I hear so much about the job economy, what's happening with jobs. First of all, let's just like talk about what home from college is because I want to talk through like interview best practices, how to get a job when you're right out of college, but also you know, a lot of our audience is maybe a little older. If you want to do a career shift, we have a lot to cover. So first, let's do home from college.
Perfect.
Background.
What a name, by the way.
So
Such a good name.
Well, it's so funny because the story is actually like kind of wild there. Long story short, I have been building businesses in the college space since my freshman year of college. So like kind of found a niche with the audience, was excited about the demographic, thinking about their future, working with brands who wanted to reach that demo. Built an experiential marketing agency and ran that for like 6 years and had been to over 100 college campuses. So spent a lot of time and had this vision to build like Soho houses on college campuses. I was like, oh my God, how cool would it be if there were these like co-working, co-living, brand experience hubs on remote college campuses across the country.
That is like my sister. Like I feel like Mady going to college, she's the target.
That would have been me.
Yeah, totally, me too.
She's the target person.
And this was when like The Wing just came out and WeWork was not in its shit era and all the things. So basically started this concept and signed like 7 leases to open spaces all over the country to build these activations and hubs where students would have these basically like co-working spaces. And we had everything ready to roll, opening our first space September 2020, and obviously COVID hit.
Shit.
And I said to my co-founder, who's also my fiance, and I was like, everything we just built is not gonna happen. Let's pivot. And we got out of our leases like March 15th.
Wow.
And I called him and I said, what if we buy the domain homefromcollege.com? Every student just went home from college. And we like
genius.
had a branding agency we all already had hired, and we told them, and they threw up a landing page in 14 days basically, and we had like hundreds and hundreds of students sign up every day, and within a 2-week period we had like over 25,000 students on this like wait list of like a landing page that said homefromcollege.com, a place to help you start your career. And like that's kind of just how it started. It was wild.
So many questions. Were you gonna do the 7 leases at the same time? Like you signed all 7 leases. Did you have investors?
We did. We raised money. Yeah.
What happened? Did you use the money then to funnel into the next thing? Wow.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't need that much capital in this new thing because it wasn't brick and mortar.
Yeah, we really didn't raise that much money yet. It was kind of like contingent on the first activation. So we signed that initial lease and we had enough to pay for that. And we had these subsequent leases that were signed. It was like under the same hold co. So they were like, okay, you can activate in this area. It was an apartment complex that had housing in different areas. So they're like, you do Syracuse first. We'll give you the space in all these other units, but you don't need to pay for that until the other ones are activated. It was like a very interesting deal, but it was just
yeah, my mind is going like, whoa, that's a lot.
That's a lot
like,
at
where
once.
do we transfer and all this stuff? Okay, got it.
Nothing was the same, transferable, but we called the investors and they were like, great, pivot. Do it.
Yeah.
Done, we back
So did you ever think though that you would get into this marketplace of connecting college students to brands? Like I knew that you were going to do that in the IRL space, but now it's, I mean, you're like a next gen, almost like Upwork in a way.
Yeah.
Would you call it that, or?
The way we call Home from College is a professional development platform for Gen Z. And we have multiple products that support that phase of life. We started with a product we call The Gig, and we call it GAS, Gen Z Access as a Service. And essentially it's a 2-sided marketplace connecting companies with college students at scale. Similar gig economy like Upwork and Fiverr for that specific product, but more towards the lens of access to college students at scale. So product testing, focus groups, Gen Z advisory panels, user-generated content, like Steve Madden doing an activation on 10 different campuses and needing it staffed with students in Oklahoma and Vermont and Virginia, but also on the career side as well. So like business development interns, research people, things of that balance so that there are career advancing opportunities, but also a way for brands to work with college students at scale, which is kind of like solving the ooh, cool brand thing, but also professional success.
Yeah. What excites you about college students and helping them? Because when I think about like the most distressing time in my life, and maybe that's why you need to service them, because there is so much uncertainty. And even to put myself back in that space, I just would never want to. So what is it about college students that just like makes you so passionate to help them?
I think honestly, I did not love college. And like I talk about it publicly. I felt like I was ready for the next phase of life.
Where did you go to
While I
college?
was there, I went to Syracuse.
Oh, you went to Syracuse, okay.
Yeah, I was in Newhouse at Syracuse, and they allowed me to hack my whole major and start my first company, and were incredibly supportive, and I'm still involved in the school, but I didn't love academic learning. And I always felt like I was so good in the wild and in the world, but I didn't get the chance to do that while you're in school because success is measured by what you get in a multiple choice test. And I grew up with a learning disability, and I never felt like I thrived in that traditional setting. But when I was put in a professional environment, I felt like I was a whole new person. And I always knew that other people must feel that way as well.
Yeah, I went to
I was like, you're literally speaking.
I went to like 5 different colleges. I dropped out twice because I was just like, this. I'm struggling with this one. This doesn't make sense to me why I'm studying like British literature of the 1800s, and I have to study that for you to give me a job. I literally went to companies. I went to PR agencies, applied for the internship, showed up to the interview, and I said, if I dropped out of college, would you give me the job instead of the internship? And they would be like,
we
you
can't.
gotta finish. I was like, please, I'll start today. It was like I literally asked jobs if they would hire me without. And then when I dropped out of college, I did apply to a couple of jobs, and I just left out my education, and no one even asked me anything. So I should have just, okay. Anyways, but yes, I resonate.
People don't feel empowered to even advocate for themselves that way. They just feel stuck. So I thought there had to be a way to not diss a traditional academic career, because there's value in getting an education and whatever. If you don't equate the value to the dollar amount, that's a different conversation. But we're never trying to replace college. We're just trying to make you be a more holistic person and get experience and learn about yourself. And many students, we have over 250,000 students on the platform, which is crazy, who have all been acquired organically, like all word of mouth, referral, TikTok, organic. And most of them are getting their first ever experience, earning their first ever dollars. Like all roles are paid. So it's giving a chance to begin, which feels like is not a narrative. So I think it's because I felt that I didn't have the right launch pad, and I had 2 amazing internships when I was in college that paved the way for my life. And I realized when we did research on it that 90% of students graduate without ever having an internship.
Wow.
Which is wild. Like that's just not talked about.
Because they're really competitive.
Yeah.
And sometimes back in the day, they didn't pay.
Right.
That's like not an option for so many people.
Who can afford that?
I mean, and it's all about who you know, a lot of it, which, like, for instance, I was so fortunate. I interned at NBC Universal, and I'm so grateful that I was in that environment, because it also made me learn what I didn't like.
Totally.
Like
that's almost more important.
That was that was my first and only corporate, like full corporate experience. And I was like, nope. Not for me.
Wait, can we go through and say what internships we had? Because I think it's fun. What internships did you have?
Okay. I was at NBC Universal for 2 semesters, one summer and then one like during the school year. And then I was Jennifer Meyer's intern.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was her intern. I like just helped stock jewelry.
Yeah.
Was really the whole thing.
So funny.
What else did I do? I think that was it. And then I started working.
I interned at Dossier Journal, which was an indie magazine out of Brooklyn, and I went to this girl's brownstone every week and helped her. And I
when you were at Sarah Lawrence,
mailed magazines at the UPS store. That was like my job. I would like go with a cart with like a bunch, and I would do that. Yeah. I interned at Interview Magazine, which was
good. I didn't know that.
Incredible, because I was the girl who was running the clothing back to the showrooms. So I went to Lon Vaughn's showroom and Alexander Wang's showroom. But my 2 bosses were like the stereotypical bitch fashion people. And that's when I realized like the culture is not for me. Like, these clothing are really great. Why do you have to be a bitch to me, right? Like, it was just really toxic. And then I interviewed at C Magazine here in LA.
Oh my God.
And then I think that's it.
Yeah, a lot of magazines.
Yeah.
Why did I not know any of
that? That was what I wanted to do.
I know.
Did you read like all those rom-com books that were like, she worked at Harper's Bazaar? Like, remember that's like the theme of all of those like rom-com
or like Devil
books.
Wears Prada.
Yeah, or like
you could have been
30.
that. I don't think you would have.
So that the point of it is that I found out that I didn't like the more corporate, like bigger institutional stuff. So then I started my own. But that's like what I learned from that. Okay, where did you intern?
So I actually went to a really like non-traditional high school, and my junior and senior year of high school, it was called the alternative school, and you took your normal science, math classes during the day, and then there was this like learning for the sake of learning Socratic method where essentially you sit in a room on chairs, you could graffiti on the chairs, and you learn by conversation. So there's no tests or essays or anything. It's all essay based. And they every Monday.
I know. Scouts like that's my
I went to Sarah Lawrence. There was no test. It was all essay based.
That's so funny.
Every Monday you could go. I lived outside of New York City into New York to intern. So I interned my junior and senior year of high school, which was an amazing experience.
Wow.
So I interned at 2 bitchy fashion PR firms, same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I only want like banana peppers in my salad. And like, can you go to Subway and get banana peppers and then put it in my salad because they don't serve them at whatever, just salad. Like mean girl PR thing. And I felt exactly the same. I was like, I don't have this in me for what? Like to be, just the whole energy was not it.
Yeah.
And then I interned in college at Spotify my sophomore year. And then my junior year going into my senior year, I interned at Snapchat, which was like in the 2021 TikTok era where it was like really cool, very relevant, still kind of scrappy. I interned out of Venice, out of Matthew McConaughey's like old apartment. And his like bathtub was still in the living room and they had just gone public. So it was just a wild time.
That's
but
insane.
I had 11 interviews for that internship.
For
the
that
internship?
That internship. And they didn't have any roles on the business team. There was 2 spots. And I networked with some girl in my sorority for 6 months before, and then she called me 2 weeks before the internship started that they had a spot, and I moved to LA in a week before the role. So it was just a whole thing.
Wow.
But it was amazing, and I'm still super close with all those people.
That's amazing.
And
Wow.
Yeah.
Also, as happy as I am, real quick, about how you can't really get away with treating employees like that anymore. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of like a rite of passage to have an internship where the boss is just bitchy as fuck. Like you learn so much from that experience.
I have to say, though, it's not happening anymore.
No, it's not happening at all.
Yeah, but also because people are so afraid of Gen Z to cancel them and just be mad at them and like, you know.
And like film them being bitchy and then they get canceled.
I know, there's
100%.
kind of a little bit of I feel like that's too far on the other end, and I feel like what we experienced was too far on the other end, and I feel like there needs to be a middle ground because having bosses that are just insane is such a formative experience.
Totally.
It just is. Like, it just teaches you about the world.
It's not sustainable. Like, you can't be at that job forever, but it is something like, I've had crazy bosses and like CEOs.
It makes you appreciate a really good boss.
And also, it
makes you who you want to be.
Exactly.
But it also makes you feel like the world isn't like set out to make me feel comfortable in certain scenarios, and I have to like show up the best.
Coddled.
And figure out how to navigate this because no one's going to tell this person to stop talking this way to me.
Yeah.
Like, I have to figure out how to navigate this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. That kind of leads me, which we've been talking a lot about, how the world doesn't owe you anything. And I think Gen Z, definitely that might be, I mean, that's even something to say about millennials, right? We think that things will be just handed to us, that we don't have to work for it. And what are you seeing in interviews? Because you do everyone needs to follow Julia on TikTok because you throw shade. You tell specific examples. Like, I just got off a call with someone who's interviewing. You should not do this. And I was like,
Tell me the horror stories. Tell me some horror stories.
Sometimes I have to like combine a person so that it's not so obvious. Because I know people look me up on TikTok before they interview me, and they're like,
then they should know better.
And they're afraid I'm going to make a TikTok about them after, which I do for sure. But only for the sake of informative things, because I feel like there are some rules that are just like obvious baselines that people should do that are just not happening in this day and age. Like, I get a lot of shade for this, but I think you need to send a thank you note. If you don't want the job.
Yes. Amen. I wait for that. As an employer, if you don't email me after and say that you really enjoyed talking to me, it's so hard for me. Even if I loved our interview, I'm like, she didn't send a thank you email. She didn't send a thank you email. It's hard to get past that.
It's also because there's so many people you're going to talk to, and it all kind of blends, but also you want to know if they care.
Yeah, totally.
And maybe if you're at a big corporate business and you don't really, you're just another corporate employee and you don't care that much yourself, fine. But if you're a small business, or you are someone who is trying to build community, that matters. And the reference of what they say in it and their tone, if they actually want it or don't, like, that matters. So that is a controversial part and point.
Wait,
How
why
is
is
that controversial?
I did a TikTok about that.
People freaked out?
And it has like 3.5 million views on it. And people
Wait.
were telling me to go to hell. Yeah. They're like, you entitled piece of shit. You should be sending me a thank you note. You're the one who's employed. Yes.
Oh, those
Yes.
people. Okay, I'm sorry. As an employer, I get afraid to say these things too, because I feel like I have to coddle a generation and make them feel accepted, etc. There is just I don't know how far I might cut this out. There is a difference between an employee mindset and an employer mindset.
Absolutely.
And an employee will never understand what an employer goes through.
Totally.
And it is a symbiotic relationship, but it is not one where you just take and take and take. So that is the most fucking absurd thing. And they can say these things all they want on the internet, by the way, guys. Say what you fucking will.
You're not getting a job.
Getting
Good
anywhere
job.
in your career, period, if you act like that.
Absolutely.
Period.
Wow.
So you decide you want to keep being employed and go tell her to go to hell? You keep being employed and tell her to go to hell.
Amen.
I'm sorry. I've never unleashed
Amen.
this side because
Let
as
it
an
go, girl.
employer,
Let it go.
it's rough.
It's rough.
No, that's
It's fucking awful. It's
I've
awful.
never seen that mindset, and I think that is a key difference of what's going on right
wild.
now.
But it's interesting because TikTok doesn't discriminate by age in controversial things. So I would have like 55 or 60-year-old men
interesting.
yell at me like who.
Oh, they just always keep yelling, those guys.
But
yeah,
then
those
there's like the
guys.
people who for sure are like hardworking, frontline worker type people who feel that that's really off. And then you have just like entitled others. So it's like a whole gamut of the archetype that's
Wow.
on TikTok that responds to these things. And that's why I post a lot about it, because it's pretty controversial in different people's mindsets. But for business people like us, it's like, duh.
Of
like,
course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Okay, wait, what's another one?
I got very heated.
No,
there.
that was
it's
that's
That
good.
was like, I can't believe you called that controversial. I was
Yeah.
like,
that's-
I will not live in a
That's
world where that's
second
controversial. That's just
nature.
ridiculous.
Totally,
That's ridiculous.
Totally. Let me think. Another thing, I feel like people just don't ask questions in interviews. Like that's really surprising to me. The other day, somebody came in, and I always in an interview say, "So tell me what you know about home from college. Like, where should we start?" Not because I need them to tell me, but more to get a sense of like, how much do we know and how much work did you put in to prepare for this conversation? Because if you want something, you're probably going to take the effort to at least research it, have a general guess. You can disclaim it and say, hey, I'm not totally sure, but this is what I understand is going to give data. So that is always really informative, like how comfortable people are articulating what the business is and what questions they have outstanding. And then just straight up saying at the end, so what kind of questions do you have? Like, what are you curious about? And people don't know what to ask.
Or
They'll
they ask how much PTO is there? What's the salary? Like all of the stuff that it's like, you got to think of it as dating. Like that's
Totally.
the stuff you ask
You
on the
ask, like,
second or
yeah,
third
do you want to
date.
get married? Do you want to have kids?
Kids,
Like, you don't ask that on the first
right away.
date.
We interviewed somebody in person yesterday, and I love an in-person interview because it's just the best. Good content, good inventory. So this girl comes in, she's like, "Oh, I just came from the dealership. Literally like first round interview. Like, just came from the dealership. Like,
Too much
I need a new
information.
car." And then she's sitting there like lying back on our couch, and she's like, "Listen, like, I just need to know if this is gonna be quality of life worthy salary for me, because I'm just not in the position where I can compromise on that right now." Listen, I get that, girlfriend. Like, I totally do, but just find another way.
It's the energy. It's the intention.
You can
It's that,
absolutely ask
give me,
that.
give me. I'm not going to work here if you don't give me. It's just like, it's such, again, I keep coming back to this. That's playing the short game.
Yes.
Especially if you are getting out of college. I understand that finances feel tight. I get it. I know that you might have student debt. I know there's so many factors that go into making financials so incredibly stressful. And this is the time. This is the time to play the long game.
Yes.
Play
Yes.
the long game. Do not worry about the salary. Don't worry about having the lifestyle. You have no marriage, no children, no mortgage. This is the time to take the long term and just start from the bottom. Like it's just the time.
It is.
Because one day you literally will not be able to take a job without a certain salary, and that limits you tremendously.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
What is the most telling interview question that you like? What's the one you love to ask? Because it's like their response is like very telling.
I also did a TikTok on this. This
Yes.
also went viral.
Oh
and
my
this
God.
had so much even more hate.
I can't wait.
Julia's also
This is the best
she's
episode
the
I've ever-
one I go to when I get hate. I freak out, but then she's like, "Oh, I love it. Engagement.
me.
Like, give it to me."
No, but this one got a lot of duets from angry recruiters,
Oh,
which was
shit.
different
Oh,
because
no.
that made me nervous because I was like, wait, I'm not a recruiter. Like, I'm not an expert in this. But then I was like, no, fuck that. Like, no, I am who I am. Whatever. Everybody has their own opinion.
Yeah.
So I actually stole this from Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank
Yeah.
because she said that every candidate should ask, what about you gives me pause? Why wouldn't you hire me? Which I love that.
Wait,
And
what?
What about me as a candidate gives you pause to not hire me? Like, is there something that gives about me as a candidate that gives you pause? And I love
So
that.
you asked that, or
No,
they?
the candidate asks
So
the
if they-
employer.
Okay.
If you're applying to a job at my
That's your
company,
tip.
you say that's not the tip. I kind of flip it, but
Yeah.
you would say, so what about me as a candidate gives you pause?
Okay.
In this role.
Okay.
Then it forces me as the potential employer to expose something about you that I may not like, but it gives you the opportunity to combat it. So somebody asked me that actually in an interview. I was going to pass on her. And I said, I'm actually not sure your experience with community building, that would be my biggest red flag or concern because, there are other people with a little bit more experience.
Sure.
She rebutted, hired her.
Wow.
So
Also, the ability to take feedback like that is
Yes.
and be
really
open and vulnerable for something like that.
Yeah.
So I now ask, and it's important for me, and I'm curious for you too, and for you, when you're hiring and you say, what about this role gives you pause? If I were to offer you this role today, why wouldn't you take it?
That's interesting.
And especially as a startup, you can learn, okay, they're concerned about the salary or their financial motivation. They don't know the upward mobility. They maybe have trauma from their current workplace and don't know about the quality of life they can have. And they will tell you, like point blank tell you, because it's catches you off guard.
Do you want to know
Okay,
the
wait.
best?
So what was controversial when you said that?
Oh,
people said
were
that
like,
they're
that's
trapping
so
you.
disrespectful. Like, you can't be expecting people to answer that in that way. You're not giving them all the information. You're the toxic employer. Red flag. Like all those things. I'm like, yes, give it to me.
Oh my God, I love you. I need your energy. Do you want to hear the best question I've ever been asked
Yeah,
as an
I wanna hear it.
employer? I was interviewing for an employee, and she said, and I don't remember the exact wording, so I'm paraphrasing. She said, if you hire me in 6 months, where do you want me to be? What would success look like for you? If like, what did you know? I always trip it up on my words.
She said, like, if I were hired and in 6 months, what would me doing a successful job look like
to you? Yeah, and I thought that was
So good.
That's
such
amazing.
a good
Yeah.
question.
Because then it also has you visualize her as an actual employee.
And it also reveals a lot about to her what my answer was. And my answer was, in 6 months, success looks like to me that you love fucking working here and you love coming to work and you do your job with a passion and an excitement. You feel connected to what you're doing and you fit in culturally and you just really like your life and you're empowered at work. That's what success looks like to me from an employee. And it was a good way to reveal, because then I was revealing the type of company culture we have and stuff. So I thought that was really excellent.
Yeah. That kind of reminds, okay, so now I want to talk about the employer side because I guess I wasn't going to ask you this, but now all of us are in positions where we are employers, which is kind of crazy. Like right now, I am looking for someone to help with TikTok and to help with my social situation for Camber. And I literally don't want to even go through the process of hiring because it feels too daunting. I don't feel like I have time to set up all these interviews. It kind of feels like getting investment. Like it's like a whole separate job to understand. And also I've never hired someone. So I'm like, will I be vetting them properly? What if I make a mistake and then I hire them and then it doesn't work out? And all these things that feel so much pressure, especially for a first hire.
Yeah.
So on the employer side, like what is a way to make sure you're getting quality candidates, you're not wasting your time? Because as you said, like, what if someone came in and said that to me and was like, oh, you're not going to give me 6 figures? But I'd be like, what? Like,
Yeah. It's exhausting. Like,
Yeah.
there's no nice way to say it, that candidate on paper was 10 out of 10. Like
Really?
exact experience. We're hiring in Los Angeles, like checked all the right kind of boxes that you would never know unless you meet them or interview them. There's no way to not waste your time, but every conversation will be informative in some direction. And we've hired and fired people. So the process of doing that is never fun, but usually the reason we have fired people is because we didn't actually listen to our guts in the initial process. And you put your desperation on the employer and you make them something they're not. It's like a relationship. Like you make somebody your future husband, but they were never going to be that anyway. So I think it's half about your own self-awareness for what you actually need them to do in the role that you cannot do. And I find that much harder in roles that I actually am capable of doing. So like anything
interesting,
sales or product design or community, like I can kind of do that in some areas better than others. But if I'm hiring an engineer, I'm like motivated to do that and really excited because I cannot do that.
I see.
So maybe there's a level of apprehension too because you know too much. Like you are aware.
Absolutely. Like I get to a point where I'm like, oh, I can do these things. I'm doing them right now. So this is like an outsourcing block. Like right now it would be just be outsourcing work that I'm like, well, what if I free up all my time and don't do anything, which of course is not going to be the case.
It's just a new
level. Phase. It's a new phase.
I like to weed people out by doing an Easter egg in the job post. So I say, if you're interested in applying, please respond to this email and put in the subject, like, I want to run podcast tours, but in there I put it in all caps lock. So if they put in the subject it in lowercase and didn't do it exactly as I said.
Oh, what? Oh, that's
I'm
interesting.
Like, that's a detail that they missed, which means I have to explain to them that I want it in uppercase.
But do you say like put this exact thing?
I say please put in the subject and then in quotes, and I do in all caps lock, I want to run podcast tours.
Interesting.
People need to look. That's a detail thing. That's a detail thing. So people who don't do that, it's just kind of it's in
they're weeding themselves out.
And they're weeding themselves out. So I do something that weeds them out in the beginning, and then for me, specifically for the type of role that you need versus like an engineer,
right?
Stuff like that. It's so much more for me about how badly do you want the job? Like the person that wants the job the most for stuff like that is usually, in my opinion, the person who's willing to get their hands dirty, willing to learn, wants to prove it to you. Like they are excited, and you want someone who's excited. So it's about like, I remember one of my girls who works with me, she came and she was like all dolled up. I was like, girl, you look way better than me. She goes, this was my most important interview this week. I was really excited. And I was like,
makes such a difference.
I hired her. I was like, you're hired.
I don't even need to ask you anything else.
Yeah, those little nuances. I mean, I think that makes such a difference. It's interesting because as you evaluate people, you have to evaluate kind of the whole picture, but the only thing that matters is like the bite, the grit, and the passion.
Yep, absolutely.
But that's also the hardest to measure, and it's a gut thing. So like when you do Easter eggs like that, or you ask, like a lot of times when a lot of content I talk about, which also is like kind of controversial, is you have to do the work before you get the job. Like I think if you're trying to cold reach out to somebody at a company you'd love to work for, Google the company, see what campaigns or things that they've recently done, give your feedback on it, give a perspective, and share an article and say why you're worthy of that person's time. Like you have to show the extra effort, because otherwise how do you weed them out? How do you differentiate anyway?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, as a candidate, like how do you show up like that, but also know your worth, but feel confident, but respectful? Like the stuff we were talking about in the beginning, where it's just like you feel like you're owed the job. That just cannot be. It's a symbiotic, as you said, a symbiotic relationship. So how can people show up not cocky, but still knowing their worth?
I think it's about being prepared for the type of person you want to be for the right environment. Because in some environments, if you're interviewing in a corporate job, you should be very aware, no matter where you interview, who's interviewing you. in a personal way. Like, I think you should be stalking them on Instagram to an extent, like understanding where they went to college, were they on the lacrosse team, were they involved in Greek life? Paint the picture of a character of who they are for you, so you have the data to interact with them. Like, what type of person are they? What will they respond well to? Do I respond well to that? Is that going to be a productive way we should have the conversation? Or am I going to be super corporate and super to the point? So I think it's 50% reading the room and doing the pre-work about where are you walking into and what do they want out of you, and then what side of you are you going to bring to the table, and then you need to show the worth part. And the worth is the work. So that's like coming in and doing pre-work or being aware of specific things or being able to actually speak about the company and those types of pieces that you can't really explain. But it's knowing the environment and matching that energy appropriately so that they feel comfortable and so do you.
You mentioned networking, which you are probably the most incredible networker.
I would say the same to you. You are truly amazing.
Really?
Yeah, and the way that you like community build and all of that. 100%.
Oh, thanks. Because I mean, you even made a TikTok where you were like, every day you do at least like one networking thing, whether that's like connecting someone that you know or reaching out to be connected to someone, like, and or reaching out, like you're always the one to first reach out to all the girls to get dinner together. Like there's something, obviously you understand the value of networking. And even what you just said, that you were buttering up your sorority sister for 6 months before you what are your biggest networking tips, and like why is it so important?
And maybe that tip, and then also to someone who's just graduating college.
Right, because it's really hard.
And I think even people who are pivoting in careers or like different industries, it's so different. I think, so I come from like 3 generations of therapists. So a lot of like feelings and people and emotions and reading the rooms and all of that. So what I have learned is, if somebody's the CEO of a company or a founder or the VP or whatever it is, they're just a person at the end of the day. And I think being able to unlock the personal connection in any relationship is the way you find success. So if it is finding that mutual point of connection, like I love Birkenstocks and you wear Birkenstocks and I send you the new Birkenstock collab on Farfetch, like it can be as simple as that from a relationship that gives you a point of connection that is deeper than whatever you're talking about on the surface. And I think I start like a lot of my calls, not even intentionally, being like, oh my God, what is the lip gloss you're wearing? Or like, those hoops are so cute. And then you use that as inventory, as to like break them as a human, because everybody like has their guard up and doesn't like know how to let that down because you're in the zone. But then it gives you inventory to be like, oh my God, I found these earrings online that I saw you wearing, made me think of you. Like those things that are human and not so corporate and serious. Everybody wants like a little bit of a psychological break from that. So I think finding the relationship connection is important, but also knowing the dynamic. Like if you're asking for help for them in a mutually beneficial way, give value back. If you are showing up in a way that feels disingenuous to who you are, maybe that person isn't someone you should network with. Like I used to put myself in situations where the person made me feel shitty. And I realized as I've gotten older that I don't need to put myself in those scenarios. Like there are people that won't make you feel shitty. And if that person does, then you should rethink investing in that type of relationship.
Something also that I learned so early on, which blew my mind, and I'm so grateful for this, is that when it comes to networking or when it comes to people in your network, there's a favor bank almost. And like I have my best friends who are in business that I could literally call up and be like, I need you to do this for me, and it's done. They do the same, it's done. We're not tit for tat. But in most of our professional network scenarios, I think people can kind of hurt themselves by asking too much, like by asking for too much of their time. And this is something that I think that happens when you're really green in your career, when you don't understand what other people's operations are. But I remember I learned this so young, and I was like, okay, if I ask this person who is way ahead of the game than me, we've had a connection, I've done a couple things for her, I'm going to go in and ask for something. That ask has to be so important, because I know after that, I'm going to have to give 5 more things to ask something else, or that's my one ask. And I'm really, really, really precious about those asks. And I think that people think that everyone's, and this is kind of a contradictory thing, because all of our time is valuable. But there are some people whose time is just more valuable than yours, period. And to think of it like that, it humbles you and it allows you to interact with them in an appropriate way that's going to get you the end result that you want versus just like taking and taking
I
and taking.
think about that all the time with Camber. Like,
Yeah.
I have a lot of connections to brands that, I could have just like reached out and said, okay, let's partner on this thing. But like, I held off for 2 years. Like, I'm thinking of a very specific brand.
Yeah.
I held off for 2 years, whereas like, I met up with I know all their employees. I go to their events, everything, but I've never like pitched them something. And then finally I felt like now was the right
moment.
time.
Yep. Yeah.
And that is so important.
The piece that you just said also is that you put in the work before. Like it's the long game. It's those moments when you don't need something that you reach out, because when it's transactional, people hate that.
Totally.
Like, you feel like you're just being used.
Yeah.
So it's being there in the off time, even if you have nothing valuable, just to say, hey, thinking of you. Like the amount of emails that I send with the subject line, thinking of you. Hope all is well, ex Julia.
Love that.
Nothing else in it, just being top of mind. And then so much comes from that just because.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to read this book. There's this author, we should have her on the podcast.
Yeah.
She talks about how to be charismatic. And one of the things that she says is one of the best ways to make people like you, it's about how to make people like you essentially, even personally or professionally, is to tell someone that you're thinking of them. Like just that. To tell someone you're thinking of them, she says that other person is like, oh, I love this person. They're thinking of me. It just lights their ego up.
People
want to
know.
Everyone's a narcissist.
Yeah.
Like,
everyone,
it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, totally. Everyone's thinking about themselves.
We want to be loved. We want to know that people are aware of us and that they're thinking of us. I was going to say something about Nick. Okay, yeah. So I was in an interesting position because until this year, I felt like I've been networking and making those relationships, and I've been feeling really good spot between like the give and the take between people that I work with. And I think I don't want to I don't know, maybe this is going to come off egotistic, whatever, I'm going to say it. But people have been coming to me for
Hell yeah.
So you know, I'm trying to be as vague as possible, but someone came to me and they had just got laid off, and I met them like once and they wanted me to connect them to like all of the brands that I work with for Camber. And they're like, okay, well, can you connect? You said that you had a connection here. You've worked with this brand. Can you connect me this? And I was talking to Ben about this because I was like, I really don't see the exchange here. Like, why would I want to help people, of course, but I've never worked with you. I don't know if I can vouch for you. Why would I?
It's going to ruin your reputation.
It's going to ruin my reputation. I just said, I'm speaking with her in a couple weeks and I'll like try to bring it up. And then she never followed up. But I didn't really like say like no.
Yeah. No, you said it in the right way.
Yeah, because
but that's like the energy that I was talking about before. Like people don't understand that those relationships, as you just said, were built on years.
I'm not just gonna
and so you're not like connect with that. The move of you asking is not going to be for someone else who you can't even vouch for.
Absolutely.
That's not,
You need to like, if you're asking for things, understand all the dynamics that are tied to it and how that would make the other person feel when you do that.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It was like you literally texted me the other day to intro you to someone. I was like 100%, like you, like no problem, but what? Who is this person? Like, I was like, I really felt weird, and it was for the first time that I felt, oh wow, I need to be very careful of these relationships. I need to be very protective. And also like, I worked hard to make these relationships.
Totally.
Like I cannot just jeopardize them.
And if that person is acting the way that they did, they're not going to take care of the relationship well on the other side.
Right.
If they were as forward and not aware of the dynamics when asking you, imagine what they would be like the other way around.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the next iteration for Home from College, because are you guys still doing the online resumes?
Yeah. Oh wait, tell me about that. What is that?
So good.
When is this podcast coming out? Just so I know when I can say
probably in like a
month or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more, 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, great. So we, at the end of last year, closed a large financing round. Thank you. Led by Google Ventures, which was
Wow.
I didn't know this.
Wild.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Because I knew you guys were working on that for a while.
Well, we actually decided not to raise.
Okay.
We never even went out to raise around. They actually came to us.
Wow.
Which was wild.
Wow.
There
we go.
seed or pre-seed? Or?
It's like technically a seed round.
Okay,
This
cool.
is a $6 million round.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy. But it was just unlocking a whole new chapter and like manifested the whole thing. And it all went down in like 2.5 weeks. It was just wild.
Wow.
And the big thesis that they invested in and that we really believe in is to be this like multiple product platform. But our whole vibe is like college students' cool older siblings. So it's like not a boring corporate-y tech platform. Like we're doing so many fun, cool, like collaboration and brand things that like would never fly if it was a normal corporate-y like career platform. So we have a second product that's been in beta for the last 6 months or so, and it's called the Resume Studio. And the pain point that we unlocked was most people don't know how to build a resume. There isn't a lot of validation if the way that their resume they're building it is appropriate for like all systems that vet resumes.
Yes.
And then
good point.
And it's like PDF. Like who does PDF? Who knows how to put on a PDF or a Word document anymore?
I always hated making my resume.
No, it's terrible.
And specific companies have specific types of resumes they want as well. So there's like different data that's important to show. But what if you don't have experience? What are you putting on your resume? How are you even being seen? Where do you know? Where do you put the data that will actually get you the job?
And how do you get it onto one paper? That was my biggest problem.
my God.
It's like, how do I communicate all my experience and who I am on one paper that has to be formatted like this?
And then you have to
makes
say
you stand out because like, also stand out but fit in. But
you don't want to go over the top with the branding. But you don't want it to be too simple.
And you can't put perfume on it because it's an email.
Exactly.
What?
Were you doing?
Yeah. I know, but were you doing?
I just it's a nice way to make it different.
So we built this product. It's called the Resume Studio, and it's essentially this all-in-one like Unreal editor resume builder where we have a template library we're building hundreds of validated resume templates with companies specifically. So like, for example, Spotify has a specific entry-level template for software engineers or for people in marketing or for whatever. So we're building out this massive database where you can filter by a specific company that you want to work at, tree style, and it will take your resume. It will scan the document, make sure it's acceptable across all applicant tracking systems. So you'll get through the system. And then it has an AI layer that will rewrite based off your job description as an entry-level employee. So not saying like excelled in whatever because you just started.
Totally. Proficient in Oh my God.
Exactly. And it's going to be the first ever free resume product on the market. And it's been in beta, the first version, for the last 6 months. We've had like almost 350,000 resumes made through it, which is crazy.
Wow. So is it only entry level or can I put it?
You can use it. It's a separate product. Like it's under the Home from College brand, but it's a separate product.
Okay,
so you could use it. Anyone can use it.
You are so cool.
I know, I told you.
Oh my God. She
I know.
is the third sister
I was like, look, we're going to talk about careers and stuff, but like Julia's like,
I'm honored to be a sister.
Yeah, Julia's a sister.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, guys.
You're so cool. I don't know. I'm like, fuck. Jen, how do you work with your fiance? How did that start?
I knew you were going to say that. I forgot about it.
Did you work together and then you were like, this is going to work out? Or were you already together and then you decided
they weren't together.
How does
we
this?
met for work, met like professionally. A really good mutual family friend introduced us.
Okay.
He has a private equity venture finance background, like different.
Different.
And we started working together on the old business concept, the physical spaces, because of his background. And then we realized we were amazing business partners. And we worked together for over a year, or like just about a year before anything happened.
Okay, but wait, how did it happen?
I know, I want to know, was it like a late night?
Was it
a
you?
late night
Were
in
you
the
like
office?
2 months? You're like, oh my God, shit, this is a business relationship. I think he looked at me weird. I think, how was it? What was it like?
It was so interesting. So I have a business coach.
Or you just got drunk and made out? Like, what happened?
I have a business coach in New York, and I introduced her to him in the very beginning of the relationship, professional relationship, because I wanted her to see if she thought we'd be good at working together. She emails me after, and she goes, Julia, I have to tell you, he is in love with you. Oh my God! This is a month in. I said, no, you're lying. Stop. Please, like, no, that can't be the case.
Happen.
He's going to be the best co-founder ever. He can't be in love with me. But there was always like some energy, but not in a way like we were gonna like make out or go on a date or whatever. Like I was dating other people, he was as well, but there was always like, oh, we want to spend literally every minute together. And then COVID happened and we didn't see each other for 5 months, but we were building home from college remotely, like over Zoom.
Okay.
And then when the world opened, we started to do dinners on Friday to recap the week. And we ended up spending so much time together personally and professionally. And we were like living in our parents' homes at the time. And it was just wild. And then we had like a specific night that was like kind of the turning point where we kind of all let it out. And it was really led by him being like, I don't know if I can do this without being with you. And I get that that's a lot, but I need to just tell you that because, you know, this is life.
Yeah.
Like,
And then you made out.
We didn't.
No, okay.
Another like 2 months went by.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And we like held hands and then we like
It was slow.
kissed on the cheek and like we were in high school.
Oh my God.
And then
All while working together this
All
entire
while
time.
working
And then when did the
together.
first kiss happen?
It was a year after we met, like a full year.
Was it like...
Oh, it was like we were in the Hamptons and I had a vision for it. It was like raining. We went to the beach.
Oh my God,
we like
stop.
we kissed.
And he
It
just
was, like,
went. He went in for it, and that was it. And then that was done.
And then
How old
you've
are
been
you?
together.
I questioned it.
Yeah,
Almost 28. Yeah, 27.
Okay. Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Crazy.
Oh, I love it.
And
I
so
just love it.
So like, did you take it slow because you were like, look,
I was
we're business.
very nervous.
Yeah,
we
it's
both were. We
hard.
just gave up our whole professional lives to build this thing. And you never know. Like there could just be not a personal thing.
Now it's not just a relationship; it's in business together.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! You know what?
Wow.
My dream is to start a business with my husband.
What?
Okay, sorry. My dream is to be one of those couples that does do business together, but I need to be self-aware enough to know that maybe that's not the right decision for my husband and I specifically.
What does your husband do?
He's getting his PhD in biochemistry.
Oh.
So
where?
not this.
Not this. I don't even know what you guys would do together.
No, but my husband has the best ideas, and you know he does.
Yeah.
He comes up with like genius product ideas. He's always
you're an
so
executor.
ahead of the trends of everything. Like he got into horticulture before everyone loves cacti. He was wearing the clear glasses before everyone did. He got into coffee,
Maybe he
and
needs
now
to be like a
everyone's into
trend set.
coffee.
He needs to be like a Coco Mocha. What's her name?
Yes.
Coco.
Yes.
Whatever her name.
Yeah, but I
She
feel like
talks on the mic like this.
Yeah.
Hi,
It's like an ASMR.
yeah, I feel like, and he could do the product because he's, you know, he's very into quality and specifics. And like he has a grinder that grinds it 0.00002 whatever % better than this other grinder. And I don't know the difference, but I taste both of them. And, you know, that's where his mind is. And I could like do the business and the marketing and stuff.
Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
It's for a specific type of people.
Totally.
It's
And I
very
don't think it's for us.
interesting. Like Michael and Lauren Bostick invested in Home from College, and
amazing.
I said to Michael in the beginning, I was like, "Listen, like you know, like I run a business with my fiance, and I was like, you know what it's like," and he's like, "Yeah, like
it's a lot. They don't even like run up technically. Like they just run the pod. They do like what you and I do. They have their separate businesses.
Yeah.
I want something like that with my husband.
That's good because
I want like a side hustle together.
Yeah, side hustle's great. Where it's not like your livelihood associated with it. That's a different level. Like it's a little bit of if you're a super motivated type of person, it can be very all-encompassing, and we love it. Like we're so good at that, and we are so on the same page, and it fills us up and all those things. But like boundaries are hard. Like you know, you are working all the time, and I don't think that we could build the type of business we're building without being in a relationship. Like I just don't know.
See,
I know
that's what I like about it. Let me tell you what I like about it is that you guys are pushing the same boulder up the same hill, and I look at people, I love studying people who are very successful and wealthy that aren't so far out of my reach. So like someone 5 years ahead of me, maybe they're 40 or something. And there's a pattern, this obviously isn't everyone, but there's a pattern that a lot of wealthy couples are in business together because it's doubly compounding because it's so important to both of you guys that like one founder can work like 10 people's jobs because they're so passionate and ingrained. Then put two founders together that are giving back to the same household. It's just a next level of wealth, in my opinion, that happens when
agree.
two, and I'm like all about that. I'm just saying it's going to be so fabulous for you guys.
Thank you. There's also just a level of trust and a commitment to each other that I don't see a lot of co-founders have. Like I have multiple friends who have co-founders who have broken up or who have had really big issues. And when we were fundraising in the early days, but I think before we were engaged, people were like, so what happens if you break up? Like, I was like, what happens if anybody breaks up? Like, what do you, like, you just have your agreements in place and you call it a day and someone will run the business or someone won't. Like, get over it. But it unlocks something personal for people. Everyone has a personal reaction to it because they look at their own situation and they'd say, I would love to do that. They'd say, fuck no, I would never be able to do that. And
I would love to do it.
They have their biases and their judgments with it.
Which is interesting.
Do you know what's interesting about it? Because like you're saying how there's no boundaries. It kind of reminds me a little bit of when you become a parent.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going on a Valentine's date with my husband this weekend. And there is a little bit of that, like, hey, we talk about the baby a lot. And like, that's our focus. Like I could imagine the business is. And I'm like, I'm already consciously like, okay, I'm going to be like in my feminine, I'm going to be sexy and I'm not going to talk about the baby and we're going to talk about other things and rediscover that part of our relationship. And I can imagine it's similar to that.
It takes the consciousness.
It takes the consciousness. Yes.
Yeah. In a good way though, but it makes you, in the same way when you have a baby, that it is such a level of depth of something that you create together that deserves the inventory of space that you provide in other times, but it's also good to just have other parts of your life be present. I mean, I'm sure you feel that too as a founder. Like it's so all encompassing that it's important to have other things that fill you up because it's your whole life can't be on the wavelength of like the highs and the lows of the startup.
Oh, absolutely not. I know. I feel like I've always been pretty good at that.
Yes, you really have.
Having other facets of my life that that I can turn on and off. Like that was something that I never subscribed to when I started Camber, of the like, I live, breathe, like everything is Camber. Honestly, I think that would have killed Camber.
Yeah.
Like the way that I give it space helps it. Like by doing podcasting, by reading. I read a lot. I read romance novels. That doesn't anything to do with Camber. Like
you also enjoy your personal life.
I love my personal life.
Yeah.
Like I never really cared about my personal life when I was growing my business. I just genuinely didn't.
Yeah.
And then I had a baby and now I care about it because like on the weekends, it's just mom mode. It's how can I create memories for her? It's how can I do things as a family? How can I explore the world? But I was very happy, like not
doing nothing,
caring so much about my personal life. Fine.
How do you balance that now, having both? Or balance is like a dirty word because there's never a balance, but like how do you juggle?
Yeah, I think it's a struggle. I think it's a struggle. I think it's a struggle for women who feel like a deep burning ambition, which I feel. And so having a child is kind of like a roadblock to that ambition in many ways in the beginning. Like it's a fucking fact. Whatever you feel about that is what you feel about that. But I think it's a rediscovering of yourself within this new phase. I think it's very frustrating in the beginning because I'm used to working whenever I want to work and I'm used to having my business be my full attention and feeling so empowered within that and like going with my biology. So if I have brain fog, I won't work and then I'll work later. But it's like that's not an option anymore. I have set times and that's the only time I have to get things done. So in the beginning, it is a huge adjustment and it is frustrating and it can feel like you aren't yourself anymore, you know, and by the way, I'm speaking very specifically about the balance of having a baby and a business, not my feelings about motherhood in general. But once you stop resisting your new reality, because I felt like I threw a little bit of a tantrum, I was like, wait a minute, like, where's my freedom? Where's my stuff? And of course, that's like the point of becoming a parent. But it is, you still go through it. You still go through it.
Of course, you're human.
And it's shocking, especially for women who love to do things at a really high scale in other areas. The thing I've found is that you allow it to cut the fat. Just allow it to cut the fat. Allow it to focus you even more. Allow it to redirect you towards what you're really supposed to do. And allow it to let the bullshit fade away.
Yeah.
And when it does that, you get so much more crystal clear that the moments where you do get to work and the moments like I live in San Diego, I left her for 2 nights, I'm up here, like I'm tired and I'm fucking grateful I'm tired today.
Yeah.
I'm like so grateful
Yeah.
that I had 2 days to be with my sister and work and like, and I'm like, even if I'm hungry or I'm tired or we've been on camera all day, I'm like, this is a luxury. Like being able to do my work is a luxury. And I'm so excited to go home to my baby.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Like,
you can
both
have
can
both.
be-
You
yeah.
can have
Both
both.
are valid. Both are important.
Both are important.
Yeah.
And it's like good to give both the space. But in the beginning, like to any new moms, it's okay if you're angry or frustrated or in resistance at how you need to reorganize what the part of you that you really loved before motherhood. And that's work for me. So it's an ongoing exploration.
Yeah,
It's an ongoing juggle.
Yeah.
I think it's important to talk about that too, because there are so many high achieving women who are stressed about that and have to think about what they give up in themselves and feel towards their child and all of the balance of that. So it's so important to talk about that.
You have to fight for yourself for sure.
Yeah.
And you have to be really diligent. You have to go to bed early. You have to wake up early and do your shit. Like you have to be very diligent if you want to have both.
Yeah.
I know. I always, Sivan Ayla has always said, like, give me 15 minutes and I will get things done that people get done in 2 hours. Like, just give me 15 minutes. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you get
Unlock a level
there's like
of
this
focus.
zone
You
of
unlock
focus.
a level of focus. Like if I waste an hour, I'm like, what the fuck did I just do?
Yeah.
A whole hour
Yeah.
that I just wasted? What the fuck am I, 22? Like I go crazy. I'm like, that was not okay.
Yeah.
Because it's true. It's just not okay. Like if you want to get somewhere at a certain time as a mom, it's regimented. We're on a motherfucking schedule over here. So.
Motherfucking schedule.
Yeah.
I love it.
A literal mother.
No, should we ask our last question?
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Can you come back? I want to talk to you more.
We need a part 2.
If you could. Okay, so we ask every woman who comes on OK Sister podcast, if you could brag about one thing and you weren't allowed to be humble, what would you brag about?
I think my superpower is emotional intelligence.
Yeah, like for sure.
Like reading people, knowing the energy in the room, kind of like understanding what's going on the unspoken cues and leaning into that for my benefit personally, professionally, and people around us. And I think that is something that I've come to appreciate. And I was always like an old soul, but I think now I've been able to like harness that skill to be able to unlock it in scenarios that help me a ton professionally, whether it's like reading people or knowing who to spend time with for my benefit and their benefit. And that took time to realize that it's okay to do that, but it's not manipulative. It's optimizing. And that's a hard thing that I'm like continuing to tune up in the right moments. But I think that would be like my superpower. That would be something I would brag about.
Yeah, I can see
I love
that 100% for you.
I love that. That's
love
beautiful.
it.
Okay, tell everyone where they can find you and where they can find Home From College and how to get involved and everything.
I love it. You can find Home From College at homefromcollege.com. On all social media, same thing. I'm Julia Haber on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, we're here for the controversy on TikTok.
I don't go on TikTok, but I'm going to go on TikTok just to watch your
fantastic.
videos.
So good.
And the fact that you're saying that is
It's
an honor.
Yeah,
we love it.
Okay, thank you, sisters. Love you.